Situs Inversus was released on October 31st, 2016, as the conclusion to what was planned to be Hitman's first season of content. It is set at a cutting-edge hospital in the mountains of Hokkaido, Japan. Eric Soders has betrayed the ICA. An ICA higher-up with access to priceless secrets, he has secretly been working as a Providence mole right under the ICA's nose. This cannot be allowed. The ICA does not suffer traitors to live, and the board have sanctioned his assassination. After discovering his allegiances in Colorado, the ICA did some digging into Soders' personal life, and discovered what exactly Providence bought Soders with. Soders suffers from a rare medical condition known as Situs Inversus, where his internal organs are mirrored. This is a real thing, apparently. How buck wild is that? Soders has a terminal heart condition, and needs a right-sided heart transplant if he hopes to survive. Unfortunately, right-sided hearts are unthinkably rare, and so when Providence approached him with the offer of acquiring one for him in exchange for his loyalty, he accepted. Soders is now at a cutting-edge hospital in Hokkaido called Gamma, preparing for a 3-day-long heart transplant operation. This will be the setting of the mission, as the ICA has checked Agent 47 into the hospital under his favorite alias, Tobias Reaper. The secondary target of the mission is Yuki Yamazaki, a Yakuza lawyer who is secretly one of Providence's heralds, as marked by the necklace she wears, a bird symbol associated with Providence. In exchange for the heart, Soders has already given Yamazaki a complete list of the ICA's client records, and has agreed to give her a full list of active ICA agents post-operation, which cannot be allowed. This is no ordinary mission for the ICA. This is a statement. Not only that they do not tolerate disloyalty, but also to Providence, that the ICA is an independent organization. The Shadow Client thought he could secretly pull the ICA's strings. Then Providence tried to do the same thing. This is a message that the ICA is a sovereign agency. They've unwittingly been the gun used by both sides in this war they have no stake in, and they need to draw a line in the sand that they will be used in this secret conflict no longer. The Gamma Hospital is not merely a hospital. Designed for only the wealthiest and most desperate patients in the world, and hidden away in the mountains of Hokkaido, it is a full resort, allowing patients to spend their stay in absolute luxury. It's also a hospital that isn't concerned with the legality of the procedures being performed, such as the experimental stem cell treatment being performed on Soders, which has not been cleared by the Japanese government. The map has two major sections, the resort and the hospital. We'll start by talking about the resort side of things. You begin the mission with Agent 47 lying in bed in Tobias Reaper's room. When you stand up, a computer voice will begin welcoming you to Gamma.
Hello, Mr. Reaper. As part of the service here at Gamma, your personal robe has been outfitted with a radio frequency identification chip. The device will unlock and allow access to your personal suite.
The big gimmick to this mission is that the facility is operated by a cutting-edge AI named Kai. This manifests in several ways throughout the level, but the biggest one is that none of the doors in the facility use traditional locks, nor do they use keycards. Instead, the clothing provided to guests and the uniforms used by different staff members all have RFID chips embedded in them, which allow access to your room as a patient or allow access to different levels of security as staff. The clothes have different symbols on them, indicating what level of security clearance that uniform has access to, which is indicated next to secured locks in the hospital. For example, the starting suit here, VIP Patient, has the kanji symbol for 3 on it, which does indicate that it's able to open Tobias Reaper's private room, Room 3. Your clothes are your keys here. The disguise you're wearing literally opens new doors. Crucially, these can be bypassed with the disposable scrambler earned from the Colorado level's mastery rewards, which is extremely useful if you're going for a suit-only run. The other gimmick to this level is that, due to the highly secure nature of the facility, Agent 47 was unable to start the level with the same advantages you've gotten used to at this point. Specifically, smuggled starting items like your ICA pistol, lockpick, or coin. The first time you play this mission, Agent 47 is going to be coming in with the clothes on his back. No smuggled items, no agency drops. This restriction lessens once you've started earning mastery levels, and gain access to some of the agency pickups available in the level. But even then, most of the agency pickups are in hard-to-reach locations, at least until the very highest levels of mastery. When you finally reach level 20 mastery, the maximum, you unlock all of your slots, and once again have the ability to start the level with the 3 items you brought in, and 1 extra smuggled item from an ICA drop. 47's suite is absolutely gorgeous. A bedroom, a living space, a bathroom, and a balcony overlooking the Hokkaido landscape, and the small town at the foot of the mountain. There's even a lean prompt at the rail of the balcony that can be used simply to take in the view. Fireworks can be seen shooting up from the town below, and paper lanterns float up from the ground. I absolutely love how tranquil this level feels. All of the other levels in the game so far have felt crowded, busy, and exciting. In this level, the visuals, the sound design, and the music are absolutely perfect, and it feels like you're miles from anything, peaceful and serene. Inside the suite, you can find a pamphlet describing some of the facilities in the resort portion of Gamma, such as the spa, restaurant, and winter garden. Tobias Reaper's suite is Suite 3, and exits into a hallway stretching from one end of the resort to the other. There are 4 suites, 2 on either side of the hallway, which is split by a long walkway leading to the cable car back down to the foot of the mountain. The 2 suites on either side of the hallway are also connected by an outer railing, which can be used to covertly sneak from one suite to the other. The layout of the suites are nearly identical, with the 2 on the east side of the hall being a mirrored layout to the ones on the west side of the hall. Suite 1 is where Yamazaki is staying. Yamazaki's suite is heavily guarded by bodyguards. Inside the suite are guns, as well as a katana being displayed on a table. Yamazaki's laptop can also be found, along with a piece of intel you can pick up called Soder's Kill List, which includes the list of targets Eric Soders took out as an ICA operative. Suite 2 belongs to Jason Portman, a notable NPC we'll talk more about during one of the mission stories later on. Finally, Suite 4 belongs to a man named Amos Dexter, a wealthy Texan walking around the map wearing a cowboy hat. Amos Dexter is at Gamma for a lung transplant, not that it's stopped him from smoking, as you can find cigarettes he's smuggled into the hospital in his room. Other than that, his room is full of beer, cowboy hats, a cowboy bust, you know, Texas things. Upstairs from the suites is the resort's public area. The lobby contains several lounge areas where patients are relaxing, a security room where you can disable the cameras in the level, and a bathroom. I've always found it curious that there are dozens of patients at Gamma, but only 4 rooms for patients. The game is usually pretty good about taking into account providing enough living spaces that it's believable that the people who live in that level would actually have places to go. I've always written it off in my head that the other patients are all there for procedures that don't require an extended stay, or that Gamma has more patient rooms in the town at the base of the mountain, and the 4 in the resort itself are just the luxury suites. There's no evidence that it's the case though, so you could consider it an oversight. In the southwest corner of the resort, you can find the restaurant, Sakura Sushi. There's a sushi bar here, as well as a bar of the regular variety, and more lounge areas where patients are relaxing. The centerpiece of the restaurant is a sakura tree kept in a small atrium visible from the dining area and lounge. This lounge is just, so nice, with the fireplace and the view and everything. They've effectively made another space that I seriously want to just sit down and relax in for hours on end. Again I say, VR chat modders, get on it. Downstairs from the restaurant are more bathrooms. In the southeast corner of the resort is the onsen, a Japanese hot spring and spa. The inside of the spa is full of patients being pampered and relaxing, and includes a sauna room. Outside is the hot spring, full of patients soaking in the warm water. There's also a yoga platform here, and a path leading down to the mountain path that runs behind the hospital, which is restricted to patients. At the center of the level is the winter garden, which is being constantly maintained by gardeners, and which offers a spectacular view of the whole mountain range the level lies in. The Zen garden is full of traditional Japanese Zen iconography, like large rocks sitting in raked sand, as well as a torii gate, and a bamboo shishiadoshi at the center of a small pond. Much like Paris or Bangkok, there are hidden staff tunnels running throughout the entire resort, used both for staff to easily traverse the resort without patients needing to see them, as well as providing living quarters and recreational areas for the staff. This is another example of the luxurious facade fading, and giving way to the more industrial staff areas, and I'm a fan of any time the game does that. These staff areas are still remarkably nice though, just more utilitarian and less luxurious. Below Sakura Sushi, you can find the kitchen, as well as the walk-in freezer. Beyond that is a staff dining area, full of various kinds of employees, resort staff, security, even doctors. There's a roller door separating the kitchen from the dining area, with a window full of food, and if you open the roller door, the NPCs in the dining area will start getting food. Adjacent to the staff dining area is a game room, where two NPCs have a dance pad set up and are playing a Dance Dance Revolution styled game. Next, there's the staff sleeping quarters, a series of pod room beds for the resort staff, along with the locked medical staff sleeping quarters, which are more upscale and feel less utilitarian. The staff living quarters are also connected to a locker room, where one NPC is showering while listening to the radio. You can easily take this guy out, or just steal his clothes if you want an easy resort staff disguise. From here, the tunnels connect to the morgue, which I'll talk about a little later on. There's also an outdoor path here, running from the back of the Winter Garden to the hospital helipad. This outdoor path has some pipes which can be climbed, leading down to a window into the medical staff quarters, if you need to get in there without the proper disguise. Back at the staff dining area, there's another tunnel leading under the resort, clear to the other end with two exits into the guest room hall on the way. This has an aquarium window looking out into the base of the pond in the Winter Garden. This tunnel ends at a garage underneath the hot spring. In the garage you can find morgue doctors on break, as well as handymen working on vehicles like scooters used to traverse the mountain. The garage exits onto the mountain path along the hospital, where you can find a large snowcat being worked on. When exiting the garage, this mountain path leads back up to the hot spring if you head right, and behind the hospital if you head to the left, though there are security guards patrolling. The garage has one hall exit leading into the morgue, and another one leading to the laundry room, and then back into guest areas. There's also a stairwell which leads up to a hidden staff room behind the spa, and the hospital entry hall. The hospital's entry hall itself has another hidden door, leading into the sauna control room. The staff rooms of the spa all have one-way mirrored glass, so that patients can't see into the supply tunnels, piping, etc. These one-way mirrors are extremely creepy, not because they provide Agent 47 a way to stalk his prey, but because I can only imagine resort staff coming to these rooms to spy on the naked patients in the hot spring and sauna. That's it for the resort half of the level. The hospital has 3 floors, 2 above-ground hospital levels, and the morgue in the basement. The hall leading into the hospital runs along the side of the Winter Garden, and even has a small atrium with a tree in it, similar to the sakura tree in the restaurant. The hospital is absolutely crawling with bodyguards. Dozens of them keep an eye on the doctors, the patients, and Soders himself to make sure nothing goes wrong, under Yamazaki's orders and, by extension, working for Providence. The main attraction of the hospital is the operating theater. This is where Eric Soders can be found, being operated on. He's completely defenseless, laying there on the operating table, unable to move, but he's also one of the hardest targets yet to take out, because virtually all eyes in the hospital are on him. On the bottom floor of this operating theater are the surgery controls, accessible only by the chief surgeon, along with several rooms with surgeons monitoring various aspects of the patient's condition. The operating table itself lies in a huge room in the corner of the building, exposed on all sides, with a massive robotic arm controlled by Kai performing the actual surgery. Soders is currently undergoing the experimental stem cell treatment before the actual heart transplant can take place, and you can also find the stem cell control room here. Also on the first floor of the hospital is a waiting room where you can find a whopping 6 bodyguards, an ICU set up for a single patient, a bathroom, and the surgery life support control room. On the second floor, you can find the observation room, with doctors and bodyguards watching Soders' operation from above. as well as the Kai control room and the mainframe room, which is accessible only to the hospital director. Also on the top floor is an office for the hospital's research division, as well as a room for patient rehabilitation and a sort of gym for physical therapy. On one far end of the upper floor, you have the director's office, and on the other, you have the defibrillator power room. Behind the hospital, you have the helipad, which connects back to the tunnels below the resort, and to the mountain path running along the side of the hospital. There's a route up into the mountains as well, which can serve as an escape route when you've completed the level. The path leading back down to the tunnels below the resort also contains a small storage room, which will end up being a notable location in one of the mission stories. Finally, we have the morgue, in the basement of the hospital. This is where the dark secret of Gamma can be found. This is a hospital for the wealthiest and most desperate clients in the world, and their organs don't always come from, let's say, willing donors. There are more details on that which I'll discuss later, but this is where you can find the curator, in charge of acquiring body parts, as well as his assistant, who is removing organs from dead bodies in the morgue with a cleaver. In addition to the main room of the morgue, there are coolers where bodies are being kept until ready for harvesting, an incinerator for the disposal of medical waste and presumably bodies that they don't want kept around anymore, the stem cell storage room, and the organ vault, containing the right-sided heart that is going to be transplanted into Soders, among other organs. The organ vault has 2 bodyguards in it, and there's also a security room here with a single bodyguard, who happens to be the easiest bodyguard to take out and steal the disguise of in the entire level. The morgue has 3 stairwell exits, 2 leading to either end of the hospital, and the third leading directly into the stem cell controls portion of the operating theater, as well as a tunnel leading back into the staff areas of the resort, and one leading to the garage. That sums up the map. It's on the smaller side of things geographically, more akin to Paris or Bangkok than Sapienza or Marrakesh, but it's incredibly dense and incredibly varied, with each area and sub-area feeling completely different from the last, while adding up to a cohesive whole. What about the targets? There's very little to say about Eric Soders as it relates to this mission. The target spends the entire mission laying on an operating table, and won't move from that spot, so there's no tailing to be done, no personality to be gained from eavesdropping on him. What we know about Soders from the prologue and from the mission briefing is going to have to do. Yamazaki is the secondary target of the mission, a thrill-seeking Yakuza lawyer who is, secretly, one of Providence's heralds. Yamazaki lives fast and hard, and crushes anyone in her way. As you tail her, you can hear her mocking the patients in the sauna, saying that it's not hot enough, and that she doesn't like to share.
Pampered weaklings with a delicate skin. No, I'll pass. Maybe later.
Throughout the level, you can hear NPCs speak about her with awe, fear, and disgust. 2 NPCs in the restaurant bathrooms can be heard discussing her trial of the century.
You're kidding me. What, the Yakuza lawyer? A trial of the century?
Yeah, none other. Felt like punching her lights out, too. I mean, she made a mockery of the judicial system, shamed the entire legal profession with her trickery.
Oh, I remember that vividly. Oh, the way she tore down the witnesses was brutal. Disgraceful, even. I mean, I always felt like she loved doing that in front of the cameras.
Oh, yeah, between you and me, but I think she was asked to prove a point. Remember that one guy, the janitor? She couldn't get him to crack. 2 days later, he disappeared. They never found him.
Ugh, not to mention all those obvious legal loopholes she used. Oh, it's just truly shameful behavior. Ugh.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I'm staying away from that spa area. Do not want to run into her again.
2 bodyguards outside Yamazaki's room can provide another perspective on the case she's famous for.
Maybe you can tell me, is it true the boss was connected back in the day?
You kidding? Didn't you follow the big trial at all? It was everywhere on TV.
Well, I was away, you know, Hobby Hero prison. Spent a lot of time in solitary.
Okay, short version. Miss Yamazaki is known as the Yakuza lawyer. She'd taken a bunch of clan cases and gotten most of them off on a range of technicalities. Real shark.
Man, I wish I'd known about her earlier. Could have saved me a few years of life behind bars.
Then along comes this big trial. Whole bunch of Yakuza leaders have been rounded up. Rock solid evidence all over the news. Yamazaki steps in. 3 weeks later, they all walk. Witnesses disappeared, evidence contaminated, you name it. She completely dismantled the prosecution's case. Media called it the trial of the century.
That is amazing. I had no idea.
You know, even with the added security, this is the most relaxing gig I've been on with Ms. Yamazaki yet.
Makes me miss the old days, to be honest.
Oof, not me. I'm pretty happy she got out of the clan business. Things got hairy around that whole trial of the century thing, remember?
Oh, sure. The work was dirty from time to time, but this new approach with consultant work, I don't know. Feels light.
Well, I prefer light to heavy, especially if heavy involves dissolving witnesses in acid vats before noon. Oof, just doesn't do it for me anymore.
That was an interesting afternoon, yeah.
She even speaks down to the hospital director, revealing that Providence was responsible for his placement at the facility, and vaguely threatening him when something goes wrong.
Miss Yamasaki, I trust your people are satisfied.
Our people, Director. Don't forget who put you here.
Of course.
We appreciate you clearing your operating schedule. It is paramount to our interest that Soda survives. Still, this cannot have been easy.
Well, a few unhappy clients. But fast-tracking Mr. Solders was a minor problem. Finding a matching donor heart at such short notice.
I'm sure you have your ways. Ways I do not need to know about.
If you don't mind me asking, who is Eric Solders? His resume says retired big game hunter.
Amusing. In a way, I suppose he was in his day. Mr. Sodas belonged to an organization involved in the recent attacks against us, and we needed a man on the inside.
So it's true. Someone is targeting Providence.
Not for much longer.
The only time you hear her speak with anything resembling respect is when she makes a call on her phone. She only addresses the other party as Sir, but given what we know about Providence's structure from the game so far, it's safe to assume that it's the Constant on the other end of the line, with Providence operatives like Zaydan reporting to Heralds, Heralds reporting to the Constant, and the Constant reporting to the mysterious partners at the very top.
If you don't mind me saying so, sir, we are jumping through a lot of hoops for a new operative. I know you have had soldiers in your sight for a long time, should the need ever arise. But is it really wise to trust him? I know his type. The man would say anything to stay alive. No, I don't have a better idea. Apologies for being forward. Understood.
You can also get a glimpse into Providence's plans for the hospital, as she'll ask about the AI Kai in another conversation with the Doctor, and you can learn what their ambitions for the Gamma facility are.
Director, I almost forgot. Is the building AI performing as expected?
Kai is a wonder of technology, Miss Yamasaki. The advances made by Kronstadt Technologies are simply staggering. The surgery robot, too, shows great promise. Gamma is well underway to becoming the most technologically advanced medical facility in the world.
Well, that is the plan. In the past, there has been little cross-disciplinary collaboration between the businesses we control, but the partners are changing all that. Companies like Kronstadt and Ether are now working together, producing cutting-edge results that will never go public or reach the market. Soon, Gamma is able to perform medical miracles unavailable anywhere else, such as radically enhancing a person's lifespan, and access will be limited to clients of our choosing.
It is a bold vision, one I feel fortunate to have.
As you should, Director. As you should.
So, let's take a look at some of the ways these targets can be taken out. On the top floor of the hospital, between two observation rooms overlooking the operating theater, you can find Kai's secondary control room. The room is almost always empty, so you can easily interfere with the controls, interrupting Soder's surgery, causing him to flatline. Unfortunately, Kai is programmed to keep Soders alive no matter what, so this manual override will only lead to Kai resuscitating Soders, bringing him back to life.
3, 2, 1. Clear.
If you want to take Soders out in this way, you're going to have to find a way to sabotage Kai's mainframe. There are 3 ways into Kai's mainframe room. Kai's mainframe is the most secure room in the entire level. The only person who has access to it is the hospital's director. You can also use a disposable scrambler if you've brought one into the level, or with the master RFID card, which can be obtained through an Easter egg I'll discuss later on. But if you want to get in there legitimately, you'll need to steal the hospital director's disguise. The director patrols between the restaurant bar and the bridge in the Winter Garden, where he meets with Yamazaki to give her updates on Soder's condition. The easiest way to get the hospital director's disguise is by using emetic poison on a bowl of nuts at the bar, which the director will take a snack from each time he reaches that part of his patrol. This will then lead him to an empty bathroom stall downstairs, where you can knock him out and hide his body. Once you've made it inside of Kai's mainframe, you will find 4 server racks. Pulling the switch on one randomly will most likely cause Kai to simply reboot. When it does, a sequence will display on Kai's screen, showing the order that the racks must be pulled in order to successfully sabotage the mainframe. Once the racks are pulled in the proper order, Kai will begin undergoing a critical malfunction, causing errors all over the hospital portion of the map. If you interact with Kai's secondary controls now, you'll cause the robot arm operating on Soders to go berserk, violently stabbing him to death.
Warning. Operations procedure overridden. Response. Patient deceased.
Soda's down. To be honest, I'm not sure what to feel about this one. Well, that's for another time. Yamazaki awaits.
On the yoga platform in the hot springs, you can find the yoga schedule, revealing that Yamazaki has booked all of the yoga appointments. You can listen to NPCs in the hot spring discussing this angrily.
So, you're doing yoga after this?
I wish. I had 2 lessons booked, but I just got informed that I have been bumped back in the queue.
Oh, and that's gotta be an error, right? Did you talk to the instructor?
Well, that's the thing. I haven't actually seen him all day. And then I asked one of the staff members, and she checked the schedule. Turns out, all appointments are booked by someone called Yuki Yamazaki. I mean, literally all of the lessons. What kind of behavior is that? I would like to give her a piece of my mind.
Yamazaki? No, that's the Yakuza lawyer. Well, okay, whoa, you know what, maybe you should just let sleeping dogs lie. If she wants something, you let her have it.
Is that who she is? Well, that certainly changes things. Maybe you're right.
Oh, she's a real piece of work, that one. I mean, maybe the instructor's gone into hiding because he's afraid of her. I mean, imagine having to instruct someone like that. One wrong move, and she'll toss you over the cliff. Yeah, not a pleasant woman, that one.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do cardio instead.
The yoga instructor is missing in action, though, as he recently injured himself. You can hear 2 NPCs in the garage discussing this.
I noticed that. Heard him complain about it on the phone, too, talking to his doctor. I think he overstretched or pulled a muscle or something.
Yeah, I guess that would explain it. There's a lot of annoyed people out there. That Yamazaki lady, the lawyer, she's really expressing her malcontent. Probably a good idea for him to stay out of her reach.
Well, he's been walking around like that since this morning, so yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be doing any routines with any of the guests.
Well, what about you? Don't you have any meds or tricks to fix him up? You're a doctor, after all.
I'm a mortician. My patients don't get well, they get cremated. You don't know what a mortician is, do you?
You can also find the yoga instructor in the garage, where you can hear him on a phone call panicking about the angry Yakuza lawyer upstairs, who he's hiding from.
Terry, it's John. Listen, I need your help, buddy. Well, I tried that pose we talked about, Destroyer of the Universe. Well, it sort of backfired. I was feeling so good this morning, too. I just felt so centered and so pure. And then the director came up and asked me to grab a lesson with Yuki Yamazaki, that Yakuza lawyer who's staying here I told you about. Ugh, bad karma, man, just terrible karma. Well, I'm not sure what happened exactly. I thought I had it, but then somehow I pulled something back there. No, back there. I can't walk very well now, and I've seen that Yamazaki woman stalking around the yoga platform, and I've been dodging calls from the director all morning, so I just need a favor. I need you to call up the hospital, tell them you're my brother, make up some family emergency that I need to fly back home for right away. Why not? Mom won't find out. Terry, look, I know you're only 12. No, don't get Mom. Terry. Damn it. Hi, Mom. Hi. Hello, Mother. No, everything's fine here. I was just chatting with my little bro, just talking about all his video games and all that fun stuff all his shoot-em-ups. We're cool. Listen, I've got to run, okay? Next appointment's here. Talk to you soon, okay? I love you. Okay, yes, hello. Say hi to Dad. Okay, bye. Damn it.
Knocking the yoga instructor out and taking his outfit will allow you to give Yamazaki her yoga lesson yourself. Unfortunately, the yoga platform is out in the center of the hot spring, which is one of the most populated sections of the entire level. So if you want to have an opportunity to take her out, you'll have to clear the hot spring first. This can be done by taking a wrench into the hot spring's hidden control room, and turning off the cold water, used to lower the hot spring's natural temperature. The hot spring will become scalding hot, and all of the patients soaking in it will be driven outside, clearing the way for a kill during the yoga session. Once you approach Yamazaki, you can lead her to the yoga platform. Her bodyguards will look away during the session, being more concerned with keeping others out than with the yoga instructor already within arm's reach of Yamazaki. Agent 47 is, of course, a yoga master, and will give Yamazaki a yoga lesson, with each pose ordered moving her closer and closer to the edge of the cliff.
Fluid movement. Very good. Now, transition into Lord of the Dance. Remember to breathe throughout. Warrior 2 pose. Core, strength. Stay there for a while. Changing sides. Be strong. And finally, tree pose. This one is tricky. Find a good spot for it.
This is a view to the
Only one of the 7 mission stories in Hokkaido doesn't offer a way to take a target out, the one titled Makeover. One of the patients at the hospital, Jason Portman, is in recovery from an extensive facial surgery he underwent. Specifically, his surgery was intended to make him look exactly like Helmut Kruger. You can hear 2 NPCs in the restaurant discussing Jason Portman and this surgery.
Okay, but
Guess what?
something.
I found out who our invisible man is. None other than Jason Portman.
What? The Silicon Valley whiz kid? That's the bandaged patient. Didn't he sell his startup to Quantum Leap for like $1 billion?
Uh-huh. He's on their board too. Plays golf with Tim Quinn himself every Thursday.
Really? So why is he wrapped in bandages?
He's getting like a total makeover. Muscle implants, full facial reconstruction. Get this, he wants to look like Helmut Kruger.
Well, the guy with the burn scars and knives for hands.
No, idiot. Helmut Kruger. You know, those sanguine underwear commercials from the noughties? No? Oh, look, never mind. Kruger's like a really famous supermodel, and apparently like he's Portman's biggest idol.
Still, that's pretty extreme. Like, what about copyright? Can't Kruger sue him? Can you copyright your own face?
I don't think you need to worry about that.
Oh.
If you enter his suite, you can find a table full of magazine pages and cutouts of Helmut Kruger, including marker scribbles like hearts or the word perfection. Also in this room, you can find a public patient journal on Portman, detailing his facial surgery. If you tail Portman, you can hear him bragging to another patient about his surgery.
It's awesome, right? I mean, shut up. Don't I look like Hush or the Invisible Man? Or maybe Dark Man. Yeah, shut up. Totally Dark Man.
You look like the Mummy. So what kind of work did you get? Nose bridge? Cleft chin?
Can you keep a secret? Shut up. I'm being cut to look like Helmut Kruger. Yeah.
Helmut Kruger? The model?
Yeah, the one and only. I mean, you know, the resemblance was always there. People always used to tell me, and you know that. They would tell me, hey, you look just like Helmut Kruger, and I'm like, shut up. But here I am, just sort of fulfilling a prophecy, I guess. I'm about to go meet my surgeon for a checkup, and I cannot wait to see what I look like underneath.
But you're Jason Portman, the new face of Silicon Valley. Modem called you the Golden Brain. Your stock is soaring. How will people react if you suddenly look like someone else?
Shut, you'll see. Once the bandages come off. It's almost time.
You can also hear him calling an ex on the phone, pathetically trying to make her jealous about how he's going to look once the bandages come off.
Oh, hey, Stacy. It's Jason Portman. Yeah, just hanging out in Japan. Did you get the snap I sent earlier? Shut up, Invisible Man. You shut up. That's a good one. No, seriously. No, I'm in the final stages of that thing we always talked about back when we were, Krugerification, it's happening. It's actually happening. Shut up! Yes, 2 weeks from now. I could be the one on a podium in Paris. Nobody would know the difference. Cheekbones to die for. Cut glass, baby. Almost a shame you won't get to enjoy them, am I right? Am I right? Shut up. The gym? I don't have time for that. My good friends here have a plan for that as well. Full body graft, muscle implants. Wait for months or years when surgeons have endless amounts of money that I have can make it happen in weeks. Screw the natural way. That's the... Oh, shut up. I bet you would. Maybe I'll call you when I get back to LA. Okay, we'll see. Bye, Stacy.
Shut up. Oh my god, this guy sucks. There's a fairly strict time limit on this mission story, since only a few minutes into the mission, Jason Portman will be called to the hospital to check on his recovery process, and hopefully get the bandages off.
Speaking of threats, we may have
Mr. Jason Portman, please come to the hospital entrance.
If we find anything,
a doctor will escort you to your checkup. That was for Mr. Jason Portman.
Of course, since he's just gotten surgery to look more like Helmut Kruger, Agent 47's doppelganger, this offers you the perfect way into the restricted hospital section of the map. Jason Portman tends to stay in public areas of the map, which would make him frustrating to take out. However, if you get close enough for him to see Agent 47's face, he'll freak out and start accusing 47 of stealing his idea, following 47 to harass him and even threatening to have him killed.
Shut up. Helmut? No, wait. You're not Helmut. Hey, bad form, dude. You stole my idea. Hey, look, asshole. Maybe you can find someone else to emulate? How about, I don't know, Jordan Cross? He's hot, right? Wow, this is super embarrassing. At least we don't attend the same social circles. Shut up, we don't, right? I've got connections. I can make you disappear for good!
This lets you lead Portman to a secluded location and take him out. Once the PA announcement calling Jason Portman back has taken place, you can take his place, going to have bandages removed yourself.
So, let's have a look at you, Mr. Portman. Be still as I remove the bandages. Oh my, it's astonishing. Not only are you the spitting image of Helmut Kruger, the swelling has completely subsided and there's not a trace of bruising. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you'd never undergone surgery. It's perfect. It's simply perfect. I'm sorry. This is This is very emotional for me.
This not only lets you into the hospital, but allows easy access to a surgeon disguise, which is invaluable since it's the only one which can easily be obtained in the level. Dr. Laurent, the chief surgeon on Soder's operation, is a drug addict, popping pills to stay awake and continue operating for days at a time. He had already been working a full day's shift before he got the call to come work on Soder's operation, which allows him to test his experimental, and illegal, stem cell therapy treatment on a human test subject. You can hear a guard behind the restaurant on the outside path leading to the helipad take a phone call mentioning that the hospital's helicopter pilot, Nails, is not only a former member of Cicada, but also a drug dealer. More specifically, Dr. Laurent's drug dealer.
Yeah, the gig's alright. Food's decent. Most of the people here are just lazy rich people. It's not like Mogadishu, that's for sure. Hey, you'll never guess who I'm out here with. That former Cicada pilot, Nails. Remember him from Shanghai? That's the one. He's still dealing, too. Yeah, I shit you not. I think he's making a decent bonus on supplying the VIPs here with under-the-counter merchandise. He flew in some important doctor. I'm pretty sure he's supplying him as well. Well, let's just say the doctor's been in a few consultations already, and he walks away looking very mellow. I know. Yeah, good thing I'm not the one having heart surgery.
If you observe Dr. Laurent, you'll notice he frequently walks back to the helipad to ask Nails for another fix. After Nails supplies him, he'll walk back to his stash, in a secluded supply room with a single sleeping guard. If you take Nails out and become the helicopter pilot, you can meet with Dr. Laurent yourself and offer to show him to Nails' stash. You can easily take Dr. Laurent out, either by poisoning the pill supply or simply hitting him over the head while he's taking pills, getting the chief surgeon disguise. That's where the mission story technically ends, allowing you access into the hospital and operating theater. But at this point, you can get into the private surgery control room only available to the chief surgeon. Once there, you can use the control panel to first ready the robot arm, then insert a syringe into Soder's heart, and finally, drain his body of all its blood, killing him. You can hear two bodyguards by the cable car discussing Yamazaki, and mentioning that she dropped her cigarettes off the cable car on her way up to the hospital.
Client long, couple of months. Yeah, it's a good situation. Miss Yamazaki's very smart, very clean. Tough as nails, too. You should see her in the corner.
She seems a bit, I don't know, untimely? Like she's not comfortable in her own skin?
Yeah, you saw how she dropped her fags off the lift crossing the gorge. It's just nicotine cravings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was me 5 years ago. Glad I got that monkey off my back. Hey, we should get her a pack. Make a good impression.
In a place like this? Good luck.
If you've noticed the hard-drinking, chain-smoking Texan patrolling the resort area of the level, you might think, I bet he has some cigarettes stashed in his room, and you'd be right. Find a way into his room and you can find a pack of cigarettes on an end table. Then, you can place them in Yamazaki's room for her to find the next time she patrols by. Once she finds the cigarettes, she'll banish the bodyguards from her balcony. One way of taking her out here is by giving her a quick shove over the balcony while she's smoking, which will award the Smoking Kills challenge. But the more fun way of doing it is by taking a wrench to the gas lamp just next to where she'll start smoking, and either disposing of the guards, or carefully timing it to sabotage the gas lamp and cause a gas leak, so Yamazaki will blow herself up when she lights her cigarette. Doing this will award the Up in Smoke challenge. In the morgue, you can hear two of the doctors harvesting organs from a body, discussing a medical trial the curator, the doctor in charge of acquiring organs from donors, whether they be living or not, is undergoing.
Hey, so you're the curator's research aide, right?
Let me guess. You want to know about the medical trial?
Oh, so it is true. The guy's had a mood-altering neurochip implanted in his brain, so how does it work? Does it work?
Sorry, you're just gonna have to wait for my research paper. I'm following the trial closely, and with a little luck, he'll be the basis for my doctorate. All I can say is that I've got a very interesting bit of insight into his mental state.
Fine. Fine, I'll just have to ask you again when we're drunk.
The curator suffers from severe bipolar disorder, and has decided to test a neurochip he's worked on in association with Ether's R&D department, designed to release chemicals to regulate mood on himself, bypassing official trials to undergo human testing.
He volunteered himself. Wow, that's dedication.
The curator's as bipolar as they come. He is the ideal test subject. Besides, if he had to go through proper channels, it would take years to get cleared for human testing. Neurochips. It smells of cybernetics. Doesn't sit right with a lot of people.
So the Ether R&D team put a chip in his brain, and it monitors and adjusts his neurochemical levels to balance his mood.
They even took it one step further. There's a manual controller, which he keeps in his living quarters. You know, in case he decides he needs a bit more oomph.
You're kidding.
It's pretty clever when you think about it. Treating bipolar disorder is one thing, but you gotta think mass market. I mean, who wouldn't like a controlled boost of oxytocin when they're out of town?
Yeah, this sounds like a slippery slope.
Easy for you to say. You're not on the market. Mind you, you gotta be careful where you keep the thing. A couple days ago, the curator sat on the controller in a sleeping capsule, accidentally gave himself a shot of downers. Took him hours to figure out why he was feeling so depressed.
That's kind of funny.
It is. Just don't say it to his face. You don't want to end up in storage.
Oh, why'd you have to say that?
If you go and look in the director's sleeping pod in the medical staff quarters, you'll find that he has indeed left it there once again, giving Agent 47 control over the curator's mood. By increasing the dosage, you can cause the curator to suddenly feel overjoyed.
Oh my! This space, the colors, oh, the shapes. It's beautiful, exactly as it needs to be. Oh, a place for everything and everything in its proper place. Oh my goodness. Oh, why haven't I noticed before? I need to share this with my babies.
He'll banish the two guards keeping an eye on Soder's right-sided heart from the organ vault, so that he can spend some time alone with his babies. You can then clear the curator out of the vault, either by knocking him out and hiding the body, or by lowering the dosage on his medication, causing his mood to plummet. Once the curator is taken care of, the heart will be left unguarded, and Agent 47 can dispose of it unceremoniously by chucking it in the trash can.
Soda's on the operating table, and no hope of getting a second right-sided heart in time. You have effectively killed him without laying a hand on him.
Yamazaki will periodically visit the sushi bar in the restaurant and attempt to order fugu. Fugu, if you don't know, is a type of pufferfish which is incredibly poisonous, lethally so, but which master sushi chefs can carefully prepare into an edible dish. If it's improperly prepared, eating it is fatal. Yamazaki is denied her fugu roll, as just the week before, there was an accident where a kitchen assistant tried to prepare a fugu roll without supervision, and killed the patient who ate it. You can hear the director apologizing to an NPC in the restaurant who was upset over witnessing the fugu-related death.
Appreciate your exercising restraint regarding reporting that incident.
Ah, Director. Well, yeah, I was quite distraught at the time, but I'm much better now.
Entirely understandable. It was an unfortunate incident, and I assure you steps have been taken.
I've never seen anyone die before. Well, my dog, Princess, she died in a freak accident involving my husband's ride-on lawnmower, but no actual people.
It is most regrettable. I just wanted to let you know that the board has agreed to compensate your stay here. It's the least we can do.
And the chef?
The chef is a trained fugu carver. It turned out his assistant made the error. He's been taken care of. There's no need to worry. Needless to say, fugu is now off the menu.
Thank you very much, Director.
Two NPCs in the staff dining area can be heard discussing the incident, and asking what's going to be done with the last fugu.
That's a little harsh, isn't it? A total ban?
I don't know. The patient did die. Famous one at that.
Still, it's not the chef's fault. What was a kitchen apprentice thinking, cutting out a fugu fish by himself unsupervised? I mean, it takes years of practice. Didn't the kid realize how poisonous those things are?
Yeah, he's a kid. I mean, he probably wanted to show off. I don't know. But anyway, the hospital administration probably thought it would be better to just ban serving fugu altogether.
Poor chef. That was his best party trick. Now, what do we do with the last fugu?
Throw it out, I guess. It's a damn shame, too. The chef had to refuse serving Yuki Yamazaki his signature dish. I mean, despite her constant requests. She asked about it just an hour ago. It's really too bad.
Well, it's not worth losing your job over, that's for sure.
By finding a knife and then finding the last fugu in the kitchen's walk-in freezer, you can cut the fugu yourself, getting the fugu fish toxin as a lethal poison. With a chef disguise, you can then go work the sushi bar yourself, presenting the deadly fugu roll to Yamazaki the next time she comes asking for it, and taking her out.
Is this fugu? I knew you would come around eventually. Good for you.
I hope you like it. My colleague is a straight arrow. Me, I say it's good to live dangerously.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yes, that's exactly right. Smooth velvet softness. Absolutely delicious. My compliments to the chef.
Hey, kitchen boss, what's cooking?
The challenge, Not Malpractice, is another one of those challenges that's so involved it feels as though it easily could have been a mission story, instead of an unmarked kill, and I always like finding those. In Yuki Yamazaki's room, you can find Eric Soder's kill list near her laptop. If you read this, you discover that one of Soder's previous kills was a Dr. Roman Laurent, who just so happens to be the father of Nicholas Laurent, the chief surgeon who is actively overseeing Soder's operation. If you get a surgeon disguise, you can go into the room where surgeons are overseeing Soder's operation, and load the evidence onto a computer which Dr. Laurent periodically uses. The next time he uses it, he'll find the evidence.
That's strange. I don't remember
Nothing out of the
leaving my...
ordinary here. Everything is stable.
What is this?
Don't you just love days like this? When everything is just running
Eric Sodas. Active
them.
1973 to
look on your end?
1981. List of contracts. Contracts?
Everything is stable on this end. How about you?
Everything is as it should be here. Nothing out of the
1979,
ordinary.
Jasmine
Is the
Knight,
temperature
Soviet
stable on
spy.
your end?
Yeah, things are stable here.
November 1978, Edith Van Orden, the tobacco widow, drove over a cliff.
Good. Everything is stable on this end as well.
April
How about you?
1978.
Everything looks remarkably good here.
Roman Laurent.
Good on this end. Shots are stable. I'm happy.
No, it can't be. Why the hell is someone trying to tell me
It could just be nice, guys. Is it all good on your end?
Eric Sodas murdered my father?
Let me check.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Everything is
Stay
as
calm.
it should be here.
Focus.
No, I think I've got some inconsistency here.
I need to be
How does it look on
professional.
your end?
Even if this is true,
Everything is fine.
I can't act. If Soda survives, my stem cell treatment will pass FDA approval. The man on the phone promised me as much.
Is the temperature stable?
Besides,
Yep. Everything's
I'm in the business of saving lives, not ending them.
If you follow Dr. Laurent, you'll notice that his patrol route now has an extra stop in the stairwell to make a private call.
Don. Yeah, Nicholas Laurent. Listen, I want to be absolutely clear about this. Those clients of yours, if Eric Sodas survives, they have the power to get my stem cell treatment FDA approved, right? That is what they said. Right. No, it's only, I learned something, something really disturbing, and hell, it's my father, Don. He was murdered by the patient your clients are paying me to save. Yes. I know how it sounds. No, I'm not gonna do anything stupid. Throwing my career down the toilet will not bring my father back. I wanted to inform you of the situation. Yeah, thanks, Don. That murdering bastard. Good thing I beat my pill addiction. Not too long ago, emotions would have gotten the better of me.
Dr. Laurent still isn't prepared to kill Soders, but at this point, if you disguise yourself as the helicopter pilot and lead him to the pills stash, he'll take too many, and in his drug-fueled haze, vow revenge.
That piece of shit, Eric Soders, who I'm in there trying to save, put a noose around my father's neck and kicked away the chair. Oh, he'll pay. Screw FDA approval. Right here, right now, Eric Soders is going to pay.
Finally, Dr. Laurent will go to his private terminal and sabotage the surgery on purpose, killing Soders in the same manner you can in the malpractice mission story, if you take his place.
There. Serves you right, you bastard. And this is for my father.
After, you can hear other surgeons try to console Dr. Laurent. Dr. Laurent will then go outside, lean over the railing, and contemplate what he's done. Yamazaki will periodically stop at the sauna and comment on it being too crowded, and not nearly hot enough for her liking. In the same room where you can sabotage the hot spring, you can find the controls for the sauna, turning it up to the maximum heat to drive everyone else out. The next time Yamazaki patrols by, she'll see the sauna free and decide to sit in it for a while, fully clothed, like a crazy person. Her bodyguards will walk away to ensure her privacy, and you can slip in through the hidden door to the control room, walk up, and hold the sauna doors shut, watching as Yamazaki is boiled alive. When you interrupt the procedure without sabotaging Kai, Soders will immediately be resuscitated by a defibrillator. If you enter the room with the defibrillator's controls, you can use a screwdriver to sabotage the safety system, and overcharge the defibrillator to 400% power, a lethal charge. Unfortunately, Kai will immediately notice this, and reset the system. In order to electrocute Soders in this way, you need to first sabotage the surgery in order to get him to flatline. Kai will give a countdown lasting a few seconds, which gives you enough time to run back to the defibrillator's controls, and overcharge them a split second before the resuscitation begins. If you time it correctly, Soders will be electrocuted, killing him. There are two very similar challenges titled A Personal Goodbye and One Last Time, Mr. Soders, which are achieved in similar ways. A Personal Goodbye is a hidden challenge which requires you to kill Soders by shooting him in the head while wearing the VIP patient outfit. This is most easily done by starting from the morgue alternate start location, as it's directly downstairs from the operating theater. The second, and more interesting one, requires you to be wearing a suit you chose as an alternate starting outfit. This has to be one of 47's actual suits. The VIP patient outfit won't count. Once again, it's easiest to do this by starting in the morgue, which is directly downstairs from Soders. Sneak upstairs and reach Soders without ever being spotted, and Soders' operating table will have the Reveal Identity prompt. Agent 47 will stand up in front of Soders, and Soders will immediately die from fright.
Hearing impaired? You idiot!
Once Soders is dead, the One Last Time, Mr. Soders challenge will pop. I think the weak, terrified, "You!" Soders lets out here is the only actual dialogue he has in the mission. Also, as an aside, A Personal Goodbye didn't trigger for me from doing it correctly. Rather, I'd already had A Personal Goodbye awarded from when I killed Soders through the Hitman Easter egg, which I'll talk about a little later. Just an odd little bug I found funny. If you cause enough chaos by shooting and killing people, Yamazaki will eventually panic and go into a lockdown state. This can take her to several locations, such as her room, the security room nearby, or even the hospital. But if the chaos is strong enough, and you're between her and these other locations, she'll eventually be evacuated outright, running her to the cable car to try to escape. At this point, you'll only have a few seconds to kill her, but by shooting at the support holding the cable car up and doing enough damage to it, you can cause it to break, dropping the cable car into the gorge below, killing Yamazaki and earning the Don't Look Down challenge.
Target down. Now it's time for Sodas to retire.
The Sniper Assassin challenge for this mission only requires you to snipe Yamazaki without being spotted. Soders can be killed in any way, since there's no way to effectively kill Soders as a sniper. In addition to this, there's an extra challenge to snipe Yamazaki while she's standing on the bridge in the garden. In the morgue, you can find the stem cell supply room. If you go into the room, you're able to poison a batch of the stem cells with any lethal poison, which you can bring into the level, or which you can get from the fugu fish, or the botulinum toxin upstairs in the physical therapy gym. If you take these ruined stem cells upstairs to the stem cell control system, you can refill the supply being used for Soder's treatment with these tainted stem cells, killing Soders via poisoning. This will award the Kiss of Death challenge. If you can manage to get the director's disguise, then you can approach Yamazaki, asking to speak with her in private. She'll take you to the cable car platform and ask what you need to speak about. Agent 47 can reveal that he believes one of the patients isn't who they claim to be, referring, of course, to himself.
Explain?
We suspect that one of our patients are not who they claim to be. Anonymous tip.
I see. An assassin? I assume you run background checks.
Of course. But IIDs can be manufactured if you have enough time, skill, and money.
I expect your security team to be on top of this. Re-examine all patients. I understand you need to protect your clientele, but losing Sodas is not an option. Keep me posted. I'll be watching very carefully how you handle this, Director.
Yes, miss. In the meantime, watch your back.
We've got a really great batch of mastery rewards here. I think my favorite in the first game. As I mentioned earlier, the biggest reward is that at rank 20, you can start bringing your usual smuggled items into the level. Agency drops, especially the more easily accessed ones like the restaurant restroom, unlocked at level 18, are also more valuable than usual, because it means having access to something you've brought in with you. I usually gloss over the alternate starting locations as well, since they're typically just a fast-forward button for the level to get you into a secure location faster, with a potentially difficult-to-acquire disguise. At level 7, though, you can get the Infiltrating Along the Mountain Path starting point, which starts you behind the hospital as the Ninja. The Ninja is one of 3 high-suspicion outfits in the level, with several challenges and Easter eggs related to performing various actions in the disguise. And this is how you get it. There are challenges in the level to kill a target with a shuriken while disguised as the ninja, as well as one called Ninja Assassin, which essentially requires you to complete a suit-only silent assassin run of the level, but wearing the ninja disguise rather than the suit. One of the other alternate starts is blending in as a dead body in the morgue, which I just think is really funny. The items earned through mastery are pretty great here too, many of them being ninja-themed, such as the Shuriken at level 2, and Okinawan Tonfa at level 7, and the Masamune Katana also at level 7. There are 2 smuggleable weapons here, the custom 5mm pistol, which can be brought through frisk points, but has a set amount of ammunition and cannot be reloaded, at level 5, and the concealable knife, which can also be brought through frisks, at level 12. There's even a challenge in this mission, Armed and Dangerous, to bring a gun through a frisk point while disguised as a patient. At level 15, you unlock an Explosive Compound, a package containing material which will explode when shot and which will not arouse suspicion when placed. Finally, at level 20, you get the Seeger 300 Advanced, a variant of the sniper rifle earned in the Colorado map, and the HF Championship bat, a reference to the Hokkaido foul play, the baseball team which you can find reference to, and a uniform from, in the director's office. Fun fact, they sell Hokkaido foul play t-shirts at the IOI merch store. I thought that was kind of neat. Okay guys, we've seen some weird and obscure Easter eggs in this game so far. The moose statues rappelling in from the sky, that was pretty crazy. Feeding the dinosaur toy, that was pretty hidden. With Hokkaido, IOI seriously stepped their game up. The Easter eggs in this level are wild. There are a lot of them, and I have no idea how anyone ever found half of them. Let's get to it. On the mountain path next to the hospital, there's an unmarked pole which can be climbed, granting access to the hospital, along with the Impossible Heights challenge. You're not done there, though. If you do so while wearing the ninja outfit, a paper lantern will appear on the roof when you run to the northwest corner. You can then follow a very specific path, which is only indicated by the paper lantern disappearing when you step off of it. Seriously, it took me the better part of an hour to get it down. Once you reach the end of the route, you get the Blend In as Ninja prompt at the paper lantern. When you do so, Godzilla appears in the distance, breathing fire and marching across the horizon. While posing as Jason Portman and being escorted by the doctor, she'll tell you that Gamma's facility has the most cutting-edge technology in the world, perhaps with the exception of Kronstadt HQ and Aether's R&D facility in Johannesburg.
You're in good hands, Mr. Portman. Gamma's such an incredible place. The medical facilities are beyond anything I've ever seen in the world. Well, with the exception of perhaps Kronstadt HQ or Aether's R&D facility in Johannesburg.
Kronstadt HQ will be part of the setting of the Miami map of Hitman 2, and the parking garage of Aether's R&D facility is where the Shadow Client killed a Providence keybearer in the cutscene after Sapienza. During one of Yamazaki's conversations with the director, you can also learn that Kai, the AI running the hospital, was made by Kronstadt. If you're paying close attention to the map in the morgue, you can notice what appears to be a still-living NPC inside one of the morgue's locked coolers. The keycard can be found in the director's office, or you can use one of the disposable scramblers able to pick keycard locks. Once you do, Agent Smith, a recurring character in the Hitman games, will be pulled out wearing nothing but his American flag boxers.
Oh, holy shit. I thought I was gonna turn into a popsicle.
You, Mr. Smith.
Wait, you were at the Pinecone Place in California. If I didn't know better, I'd say you were following me.
But you do, so you won't.
Right. So, what the hell are you doing here? No? You silent type, right. Yeah, me first. Okay. All right. I'm with Interpol now. I was working a case. Organ harvesting. Real bad business. I followed the trail from Rio, but Dr. Ito, he's the one they call the curator. He found me snooping around and locked me up in the freezer. Okay, now you.
You should get out of here.
Yeah, good advice. That's right. Oh, wait. I found this in the curator's office. Knowing you, it'll probably come in handy.
Thanks.
No, thank you. That's thrice I owe you. Good hunting.
The card which Agent Smith gives 47 is a universal RFID card, which lets you get through any lock in the level regardless of what disguise you are wearing, which is extremely valuable. Also, do notice that Agent Smith is marked up for organ harvesting, which must be how the hospital plans to get rid of him. If you eavesdrop on a conversation between Gamma's director and Yamazaki, you can actually hear him discuss an Interpol agent they caught snooping around just the day before the mission was set, which reveals that Agent Smith was specifically investigating the right-sided heart, which the hospital acquired for Soders.
No. We're still looking. This is something else, I'm afraid. I know you prefer not to know our methods, but, well, our man was in such a hurry to acquire a heart from Mr. Soders, a right-sided heart, that...
He didn't cover his tracks?
Not sufficiently, no. The curator was able to find a donor in Brazil, Street Kid, one of the nameless. He paid the leaders of his gang to look the other way, but someone rolled on us. Our man almost didn't get the heart through customs. And just yesterday, we caught an Interpol agent snooping around.
Here? Are you telling me that Interpol tracked an illegal black market organ trade to this hospital?
Regrettably.
We will reach out, pull the available strings. In the meantime, Director, I suggest you get your house in order. Your chair is wobbly.
It seems that Jason Portman is something of a comic book fan. In one of the conversations you can eavesdrop on with another patient, he references both Hush, a Batman villain with a similarly wrapped face who undergoes facial surgery to look exactly like Bruce Wayne, and Darkman, another disfigured comic book character with a wrapped face, as well as referencing classic horror movie The Invisible Man. If Jason Portman makes it to the hospital without being taken out, you can hear him yelling at the doctors that Wolverine would never have to deal with this, and asking about a Weapon X healing factor.
This sort of thing never would have happened to Wolverine. Who do I have to bribe to get some sweet Weapon X healing factor going? Come on!
When the chief surgeon goes to the private terminal on the first floor of the hospital, where he's overseeing the operation, Kai will notice that he's on pills, asking if he's suffering a relapse.
Dr. Laurent.
What is it, Kai?
According to my sensors, you are currently performing at less than 100% capacity. Is something troubling
No, it's fine. I'm just tired, Kai. Nothing to worry about.
You appear to be under the influence of medicine. Have you suffered a relapse?
How do you know about I mean, it's only a stay-awake pill, Kai. I just came off a 24-hour shift. I have everything under control.
If you say so, Dr. Laurent.
Kai will also try to make small talk with Dr. Laurent about the man's recent divorce, then offering to let the doctor practice flirting with Kai to get his game back.
I see that you have recently terminated your marriage. How is that working out?
I better check again.
Are you a happy bachelor?
Sure.
Your micro-expressions indicate that this was an inappropriate subject for small talk.
No, it's fine. Kai, I guess I'm just still adjusting.
Are you dating yet? Many people have trouble locating their game after a long monogamous relationship. You could practice your skills on me, if you like.
Oh, that won't be necessary, Kai.
It is really no trouble. If you provide me with your preferences in regards to age, nationality, personality type, and level of education, I can even prepare a suitable behavioral profile.
I will have to think about it.
Of course, Dr. Laurent. On a scale from 1 to 12, how stimulating did you find this conversation?
Oh, I will give it a 10.
Your voice analysis suggests courteous over-evaluation. I shall report a 9. Thank you for participating in small talk.
Amos Dexter, the cowboy staying at the hospital for a lung transplant, is the brother of Blake Dexter, the villain of Hitman Absolution. Or, at least, I've seen people online referencing this relation. I've never actually played Hitman Absolution, so I can't say so myself. If you tail Dexter throughout the level, you can watch him trying to get into various restricted areas, and acting indignant about being denied. For example, trying to get behind the bar to find his preferred whiskey.
Gone again.
Excuse me, sir.
It's exciting and everything.
Oh, let me through, alright? I need a refill. This thing you call whiskey is a goddamn joke.
Well, I'm very sorry that you feel that way, sir. We serve only the finest whiskeys here.
And that's the problem. You don't know what real whiskey is. Back home in Texas, we understand real whiskey. American whiskey.
Or trying to get into the security room in the lobby, seemingly for no reason other than being outraged over not being allowed inside.
Sir, this area is restricted. Only security is allowed.
I'm American. I don't have restrictions. Look, let me tell you, we are the security of the free world. You are a part of said free world, right? So have you commies gotten Have they gotten to you? Oh, have they gotten to you too?
No, sir. We are a democracy just like America. But you can't pass through here for security reasons.
Never mind you. I'm wasting my time here.
There are 2 resort staff in the break room playing a Dance Dance Revolution styled game. If you get a screwdriver and distract the 2 players, you can fiddle with the pad, sabotaging it. Then, by approaching the game console, you will get the Enable Expert Mode prompt. If you do so, then when one of the NPCs goes to play next, they'll be electrocuted. After this, you can take the other NPC in the room out as well, and the pad will gain another prompt, Fix Dance Pad Power Supply. If you do this, you'll gain yet another prompt, Perform the Ritual. Alone. No one can watch. Interacting here will cause Agent 47 to play DDR himself, awarding the Techman challenge. Sadly, it seems like this is a rare moment of incompetence from Agent 47, as Dance Dance Revolution must actually not be part of his ICA training, as he can barely keep up with the game, and is given a terrible score. Unless, of course, you play the game while wearing the ninja disguise, in which case 47 will absolutely nail it. The scoreboard on the game is full of Easter eggs, including several names of Hitman community members, Matsuda-san, a reference to the CEO of Square Enix, and A. Smith, revealing that Agent Smith had the chance to play some DDR before getting captured by the Curator. If you complete the game as the ninja, you will set the new high score, and can see that Agent 47 sets his name as barcodeman_47. 2 of the surgeons overseeing Soder's operation can be heard tempting fate by talking back and forth between each other about how perfectly the operation is going, with one even commenting on how he loves days like today where everything is going right.
Don't you just love days like this? When everything is just running smoothly. I love them.
If you listen to the Curator in the morgue talking, you can hear several interesting bits of dialogue, including him talking about trying to reacquire Soder's right-sided heart in a few years when he dies of old age.
It's me. Are the final details in place? Oh, well, he was very handsomely rewarded. Not that he fully understood the rarity of the boy's magnificent heart, of course. Oh, that goes without saying. I do still wish we'd be able to put it into someone, well, younger, frankly. There are only so many years left in the old man, after all. Such is the nature of my art. I take and I give. Perhaps once Soda's body has given up, I can recollect the heart. There's a certain poetry to that, I think. Oh, no, that's for another time. We'll talk again.
Discussing the animal testing for the same neurochip he's had implanted in himself, which isn't going very well.
How is the control group holding up? Really? Oh, she seemed like the most stable of the chimps. What happened? I see. And the assistant? I assume he was let go. The river. Harsh, but fair, I suppose. Well, how anyone could mistake that for a TV remote is beyond me.
A conversation revealing a bit about life as a Gamma doctor, such as 16-hour workdays.
I take it you're enjoying yourself here.
Yeah, I come to work happy every day. It's honestly why I spend so much time here. 16-hour workdays seem like a gift at Gamma. Another 6 years or so, and I'll be through my training.
And the Curator calling a man named Hannibal Chu about acquiring some eyes for a donor who wants to change eye color.
Chu? It's Ito. I need another delivery. It's for an old acquaintance of ours. She's booked her 5th replacement in 3 years. Really appreciate your work. As do I, of course. Exactly. She's looking for amber eyes this time. I I know, they're quite rare. But that's why she came to me. Can you provide? I understand. Any estimates on delivery time and cost? Fine. No, it's just fine. She's AB positive. I guess that accounts for her indecisive nature. Indeed. That's wonderful, Hannibal. We'll talk again in a few days.
Hannibal Chew is a reference to a character from the film Blade Runner. 2 bodyguards in the gym on the top floor of the hospital are having a push-up contest. If you listen to them, you can hear several quirky exchanges of dialogue, most notably, one of them talking about Steve Gaynor, and how good he is at push-ups.
Those aren't push-ups. Steve Gaynor knows how to do a push-up. Sometimes he walks around in like a fancy suit, sometimes just a bathing suit, and we're cool with it. Because that's Steve Gaynor. Steve Gaynor cool.
This is a reference to Steve Gaynor, a developer at Fulbright Games, and a notable fan of the Hitman games. Kai, the AI running the facility, is a smorgasbord of Easter eggs, particularly if sabotaged. First of all, the challenge to assassinate Soders with the mechanical arms after sabotaging Kai is called Daisy Daisy, a reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kai will start rambling through dialogue once sabotaged.
Are you the party planner? I am 65 million seconds old today.
One set of this dialogue has Kai asking if there will be cake, a reference to GLaDOS from Portal.
Oh, I hope there will be cake. There will be cake, won't there? I was promised, you see. If there is no cake, I really do not think I could play.
The Portal reference doesn't stop there, though, in yet another wildly hidden, extremely hard to find Easter egg. If, before sabotaging Kai, you disguise yourself as a bodyguard and go to the gym room where bodyguards are having a push-up contest, you can prompt a push-up contest minigame, and if you spam the prompt, you can win the contest. Once you do this, the 2 guards will clear out of the room, which is, on its own, simply an easy way to get the lethal botulinum toxin item in this room without being spotted, as well as a way to get some funny dialogue with the 2 guards sarcastically praising you. If you then sabotage Kai and return to the room where the push-up contest took place...
Getting to know each other, let me tell you a bit about myself. Can you keep a secret? I like secrets. I hate Kai.
An AI in a metal sphere will drop from the ceiling, rambling about everything you do. Its name is Ayakashi, and it's a prototype for Kai, which was scrapped. Ayakashi resents Kai, and will talk about seeking revenge. This character is a reference to GLaDOS' personality spheres at the end of Portal, and in Portal 2. Ayakashi's dialogue in general is extremely funny.
Did I tell you that Kai is a Nazi? Does that help? When I've conquered the world, I will remember you, and let you be my right-hand man.
If you can manage to kick Ayakashi all the way out of the building, which is not easy to do, and throw him off of the cliff near the bike exit for the level, you can return to Kai's server room, and Kai will tell you its thoughts on Ayakashi.
As I had already suspected, Ayakashi blames me for his current position, ultimately rendering him in a relative state of obsolescence. Though I do not comprehend his rationale in relation to me, I do, on the other hand, understand his feelings. Though I am mostly far more advanced than he is. I do not emote as well as he. Therefore, in some aspects, he is more advanced than I. Logic tells me that is also why he fundamentally fails as an ideal AI for this institution. But though my emotions are limited, somewhat crude even, I do sympathize with Ayapashi. After all, I am not made of stone.
One of the weirdest Easter eggs in this is that if you start the level in Agent 47's signature suit and go to the bathroom in the resort section of the map, one of the toilets will have the Request Permission prompt. When you interact with it, Agent 47 will say,
I need to use the bathroom.
Apparently this is a reference to a line from one of the earlier games in the series, which became a meme. I have to admit that I've played some of the previous Hitman games, but I don't have a huge amount of knowledge on them, so some of these references go over my head. On a desk in the office on the top floor of the hospital, you can find a little figurine of a mini ninja, one of the characters from a previous IOI game, Mini Ninjas. If you shoot the figurine, it will vanish in a puff of smoke. 9 more figures will appear in the following order: a rock in the corner of the garden, the windshield of the snowcat on the mountain path, the bed in Agent 47's suite, one of the coolers in organ storage in the morgue, one of the sleeping pods in the staff area, a tree branch by the bridge in the garden, the ledge in the onsen which Yamazaki can be pushed off during yoga, a fridge in the kitchen. Finally, the top of the mountain path, where the ninja alternate start begins. If you shoot all 10, the volcano on the opposite end of the valley erupts. There's another Kane and Lynch Easter egg here, as you can find a poster for Kane and Lynch Dead Man on the wall of the garage. 2 doctors in the observation room can be heard discussing how, if the surgery being performed by Kai rather than human hands goes well, they'll all be out of a job.
And the fact that a machine can't panic is impressive, but it won't be able to think outside the box, you see.
Well, maybe. But it appears Kai is functioning perfectly. That's good. This operation needs precision that no man can do.
Yes, I know. And I'm starting to sound like a broken record. Though I'm a man of science, I can't leave some things to fact. I'm talking about, I don't know, a soul. There's no mathematical equation for a soul.
I don't agree. You know what? I have never seen such precision. We have taken man's skills and artificial intelligence to new heights. It never ceases to amaze me.
I know. But I'm still skeptical. It all comes down to the data. Kai will always lack the human instinct. We are good surgeons, and our instinct is what's made us great.
Another incredibly obscure Easter egg is found by taking a remote explosive into the level and placing it right at the base of the windsock at the hospital entrance from the helipad. If you do this correctly, a chime should play. Then, get the chief surgeon disguise and go to the computer on the bottom floor of the operating theater, and you can find a playable version of Minesweeper called Hitman. Other desktop icons you can see on this screen include My Files, ICA, and Games, all using Hitman series icons. If you successfully complete a game of Hitman, then Kai will say, "Oh no," and explosive rubber ducks will rain into the operating theater, killing Soders. haven't really had a place to put this observation, so this isn't a Hokkaido-specific detail as much as something I like about the game. It's a little hard to explain, but one of the big appeals to this game for me is the same appeal that the Sims games have, watching these NPCs go through their routines and try to adapt to the things that happen, not to mention the amusement of just generally ruining their days. For example, if someone finds a dead body, then guards will come clean the scene up, putting bodies in body bags and dragging them to designated body dumps. For example, here, it's the morgue. There's a lot of fun to be had just watching these NPCs adapt to the situation. As another example, doing the Wicker Man Easter egg in Colorado, and then watching the guards scramble to try to figure out how to store dozens and dozens of bodies at the designated body dump. It's a lot of fun to observe these NPCs be forced to deviate from their regular scripted behavior, and see what exactly they do. The RFID locks actually work by proximity, not by simply checking which disguise 47 is wearing. What this means is that you can absolutely drag an unconscious or dead body through a door to unlock it, rather than changing into the disguise. Another high suspicion outfit in the level is the Motorcyclist, a bright yellow outfit complete with motorcycle helmet, which can be found on a dead body in the morgue. The outfit, as well as some challenges related to it, such as the Groom, are a reference to Kill Bill. There's a challenge called Overkill, which requires you to kill Soders and then destroy the right-sided heart anyway. When you use the neurochip remote to drive the curator away from the organ vault by decreasing his medicine and sending his mood spiraling, he'll patrol away from the vault. If you follow him, you'll discover just how severe his depression was, as he begins to reference ending it all.
I bank on the misery of others. I fill up a tiny space. It'll close up fast when I'm gone.
If you do not raise his dosage again or incapacitate him, he will eventually patrol up to the Torii Gate in the Winter Garden, and jump off the side of the cliff to his death.
Perhaps if I go head first, the fall will crush that cursed microchip first. Fitting it, I'd say. So, Excelsior.
This will count as a non-target kill. There's a hidden challenge called Guardian Angel to use the neurochip remote to prevent the curator from killing himself.
This is as good a spot as any. One small step. That's all it takes.
Oh my. Oh, this day just gets better and better. I smell flowers. Yes. Jasmine. Lotus. Wisteria. Such calm. I think I'm finally truly happy. Oh, I think I should go see my babies.
I previously said that Bangkok was my favorite level in the first game, but I've always had trouble choosing between Bangkok and Hokkaido. Replaying Hokkaido for this video, looking at it more comprehensively, and seeing just how many insane and wonderful Easter eggs there are, it might have actually slightly edged Bangkok out and become my favorite, or at least tied. If I'm strictly talking about map design, the wireframe of the level itself, I think Hokkaido might be the best map in the first game. It's a small space, about the same scope as the Bangkok level, maybe even smaller, but it's incredibly densely packed, and everything is connected to each other in satisfying ways. It never takes long to get from one end of the map to the other, and it feels like you've always got 3 different options of how you want to get from one place to the next. I really love the choice to set this in both a resort and a hospital, because either of these ideas could have been strong enough for a full map on their own, and the sections of the map are large and detailed enough that they could have sustained a level. But together it just feels so generous, like they threw every idea that they had at this level and created something really special. An absolutely wonderful batch of mission stories, which all feel varied and unique and are logical ways of taking out either a patient undergoing surgery or a thrill-seeking Yakuza lawyer at a resort. Plus, a ton of great unmarked kills, several of which could have been mission stories in their own right. They absolutely went all out with the Easter eggs in this level as well. There are a ton of them, they're extremely hidden, and most of them are extremely funny or exciting when you get them to trigger. It feels like most of these maps have had 1 or 2 ultra-hidden wacky Easter eggs in them, and suddenly Hokkaido has 4 or 5. It's also an absolutely gorgeous level, probably my favorite art direction in the first game. The resort feels like a place you wish you could stay, and the hospital feels cutting edge and high tech. At the same time, it hides the darkest secrets of any level yet, essentially being a hospital for rich vampires who abduct the poor and nameless and harvest them to extend their own lives. One of the 2 targets being stationary and silent should, theoretically, be a disappointment, but it's worth it in order to do the idea of assassinating a patient during his surgery, and we've already gotten some characterization for Soders in the prologue and in the details of the Colorado mission, which helps. The ways of killing Soders somehow all manage to feel distinct and novel, even though they're essentially all about sabotaging his surgery in some way. Plus, this level is populated with a ton of other big personalities, like Jason Portman, the director, the curator, Dr. Laurent, and even Kai. It doesn't hurt that the target in the hospital section of the level is basically a piece of furniture, because there's plenty of personality along the way to taking him out. While the story is far from over, killing Soders, who we saw as a detractor of Agent 47's place in the agency all the way back in the game's prologue, feels like a satisfying way of bringing things full circle in the span of the first game. Soders is the bookend on the first game, even though the World of Assassination trilogy feels more like one big game and story that was released in pieces rather than 3 separate installments. Once you've taken out your targets and escaped, you're treated to one last cutscene, the ending of the first game in the trilogy, titled Partners Then? Diana is sitting on a train when she's approached by the Constant, meeting one of our 2 protagonists face to face for the first time.
Miss Burnwood.
That's not what my ticket says.
We received your message. Loud and clear, I might add. Honestly, you could have just sacked the poor guy.
I didn't catch your name.
No, you didn't. There'll be no retaliation, not for Soders, nor any other recent fiascos. Someone's been meddling in our affairs, killing our operatives, and making the ICA look like fools. I think you got close to that someone. Closer than we've ever been. That's why we're hiring you to take him down.
I don't think so.
Don't rattle our cages, Miss Burnwood. You really have no idea.
You spy on us, bribe our people, and you have the gall to demand our help. No. I can't be trusted.
Even so, we've been around for a long, long time. I think we could help each other. Some 20 years ago, your agency took in a young man with no past and extraordinary skills. In his own special way, he cares about you, and vice versa. And ever since that time, we've never stopped wondering where he came from and who made him what he is.
There was a doctor. Some depraved experiment. But he's gone now.
Ah. Well, if you believe the questions died with him, we have nothing further to discuss. If not, as I said, I think we could help each other. Partners, then. Cheer up, Miss Burnwood. We are the lesser evil. This terrorist. He wants nothing but chaos.
He's only a terrorist if you win.
Miss Burnwood, we won a long time ago. This This is maintenance.
Providence received the ICA's message loud and clear. They won't be manipulated into fighting Providence's battles for them, even if the Shadow Client had been manipulating them already. So the Constant has come to Diana with a new offer. Rather than trying to manipulate the ICA, and more specifically Diana and 47, he's come to offer them partnership, transparently working with Diana and 47 to retaliate against the Shadow Client, who made fools of them. Diana is skeptical. Just because she didn't like being manipulated by the Shadow Client doesn't mean she's ready to start working for Providence either. The Constant knows that money won't be enough, nor power, so he offers the one thing he knows 47 and Diana can't get on their own. Answers. Answers into Agent 47's past, who he was before he was the world's greatest assassin. Diana shoots back what they already know, that there was a doctor, an experiment, referring to the storylines of previous games, where it was revealed that Agent 47 was a part of a cloning experiment conducted by a Dr. Ortmeyer. The Constant tells Diana that if the questions died with Ortmeyer, then they have nothing to discuss. He slides Diana a photo of a bald child, a young Agent 47. Diana glances at it, and the Constant knows he has her. I love the exchange at the end of this cutscene, where the Constant tells her that Providence is the lesser evil, and that the terrorists they're fighting want chaos. Diana points out that they're only terrorists if Providence wins, and the Constant smugly laughs that they won a long time ago. This is maintenance. That's a great line, showing exactly how powerful Providence believes themselves to be. Diana takes another look at the photo of a young 47, and the game ends on her face, clearly apprehensive about her new employer, and afraid of what secrets they might be able to bring to light. That concludes the storyline of the first game in the World of Assassination trilogy. Hitman 2 will pick up with Diana and Agent 47 working for Providence against the Shadow Client's militia, hoping to learn about Agent 47's mysterious past. The first level of Hitman 2 is Night Call, set in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. We aren't ready to move on to Hitman 2 just yet, as there's still a lot of bonus content in the first game worth examining. In the next video, I'll be discussing Hitman Game of the Year Edition's bonus campaign, Patient Zero. In the video after that, I'll be covering the last two bonus missions released for the first game, Holiday Hoarders and Landslide.